السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي واجعل لي وزيرا من أهلي هارون أخي اشدد به أزري وأشركه في أمري كي نسبحك كثيرا ونذكرك كثيرا إنك كنت بنا بصيرا. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. ربنا هب لنا من لدنك رحمة وهيئ لنا من أمرنا رشدا. لا تذرني فردا وأنت خير الوارثين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وارنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وارنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. وصل اللهم على محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه وسلم. ربنا اغفر لنا وارحمنا وأنت خير الراحمين. آمين والحمد لله رب العالمين. آمين. We have been studying the story of Moses in the Quran, scattered everywhere, but we are now studying the piece which is discussed in the Surah Qasas, chapter Qasas, and we studied up to the verse 18 and Qasas 18, and we realized that human beings, as they grow, we ourselves, as we grow, to come and reach the age of puberty, means age of majority, it means to become an adult. Then every person has to realize his responsibility, but we cannot make a sudden realization, sudden change in our life. It is impossible. So what we do, we go through try and error. We do something wrong, make mistakes, and then later on realize, we may not realize even, when we are young, we feel very powerful, self-sufficient, proud of our youth, our strength. Although we don't know a lot of life experiences we are going to learn, but I remember from my youth days, I didn't realize that I didn't have enough life experiences. So I was quite sure of myself, what is right, what is wrong, etc. But usually when during our young age, without realizing mostly that we are only educated under the influence of, first, family culture, second, the culture of the environment, the civilization that we are growing up. Later on, we start making distinctions between what is wrong and what is right in what we have inherited from family culture and environment, and we start questioning them, of course. But mostly it takes time, and also during this period of passage or transition from our childhood into our youth and then going into our real adulthood, somewhere around the age of 25 and 30 there, we make a lot of mistakes. I remember making innumerable mistakes in my life. That is what is expected. We shouldn't be discouraged. We shouldn't be dismayed that from the very beginning I made lots of mistakes. Of course, that is what we are learning. Moses also was a human being, and also the example which is presented us in these verses also not only Moses' life, this is my life, your life. So Moses grew up with the sense of racial discrimination and taking the part of his own race, justifiably to a certain extent, of course, that his race was the ones who were treated unjustly. And their rights, human rights, fundamental human rights were denied by the authorities in the society, by the elite of the society, by the administration of that area, the country, whatever you call them. That time, I don't know whether there was a country or not, but definitely there was a kingdom. So the sovereign used to decide what is right and what's wrong. Even the measurement is taken according to the size of his feet and arm, etc. So it is crazy. So he was the yardstick for the truth, for the right and wrong. That is how the people were subject to this kind of administration. So it is quite normal to grow up in the society and brew a kind of racial feelings. So under the influence of this background culture, Moses acted and did something on the racial base in order to support one of the members of his race and killed the opponent of this race, I mean, the enemy of this race in that society, accidentally, not deliberately, but it was an event that the man was died at the end. The man died at the end. So he said, I'm not going to repeat this mistake again. And he asked for repentance, and God promised him that he is forgiven. But now in this verse, the previous verse, in the 17th verse, God promises him, yes, God forgave him. But as far as you and I am concerned, we are concerned, how do we know that God has forgiven us? This is the story through which God tells his way of treatment of human beings. So it is valid for Moses, it is valid for you and for me as well. It means we have to sincerely repent and decide, I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to repeat the same mistake again. So I can be pretty sure, not absolutely, because I don't know my intention, how pure my intention is, I don't know. But as far as the way that treats human beings is concerned, if the repentant is sincere and the promise that the person is not going to repeat the mistake again, the mistake he did again, then God says he can take it that his mistake is forgiven. That is the hope. Fear side depends on us. How sincere we are, how decisive we are, determined we are that we are not going to repeat this mistake again. But as far as God is concerned, from this verse we understand that he is the forgiving one. He forgives if I am sincere if I am determined not to repeat the mistake. We learned this from the previous verses. Now this verse, which is 18, of course, life continues. You are forgiven doesn't mean that you are pure now. You are not going to repeat any mistake again. Doesn't guarantee. We are human beings. We have free will. We may choose right. We may choose wrong. It doesn't mean that we are forgiven. We have lost our ability to choose wrong again. So we have to understand that the trial and error training education process is continuing. So let's read this verse now quickly. Next morning, he entered the town. The verse on the screen. Fearful and anxious. Why? These are interesting that fearful and anxious is repeated here. Why? Because he is aware that he made a mistake the day before, just the day before, and he is guilty to a certain extent, not necessarily that it was an deliberate killing, premeditated killing. It wasn't a premeditated killing. So according to the law, he was not subject to be executed. It means killed by the judge or by the administration. But we will see what will happen. But still, he made a mistake. Not a mistake of murder, but it's a severe mistake. He did something to a certain extent as a result of his free will, free choice, that the result of this free choice ended up in killing the man or the death of the person. So he is aware of that, although he is forgiven by God, but it doesn't guarantee that he is forgiven by the society, by the laws or rulings of the administration of the country. Our treatment with God is different from my treatment with the officials or administration. I cannot say that, look, I made a mistake last night, or sorry, yesterday. Last night I repent a lot, cried Allah, begged Allah, and in my dream, Allah, I mean, this is just a made up story, of course, guaranteed that I am forgiven. So I can go to the court, just look, you cannot judge me anymore, judge against me anymore. You cannot treat me as a guilty because I am forgiven by God. The judge says, okay, that is God's right to forgive you. That is the concern between you and your God. But my position is between you and the man who is killed, who is dead now, to make a judgment. That is what we have to make the distinction. God's forgiveness doesn't mean that I am forgiven according to the rights of the other people or according to the rights of the administration or society or the order of the society. That is a different thing. Even for example, I may not ask for forgiveness from God, and the judge decides some sort of penalty on me, and I am guilty, and I served for my penalty. I was really punished, and it is done now. It means I am done as far as the society is concerned. But if am I done as far as God is concerned? I don't know. Did you ask for forgiveness? Did you ask for God's judgment now for you? Saying that, please, God, you are a forgiving one, very merciful one. Please forgive me, and I'm not going to repeat it. That treatment is different. That's why we shouldn't confuse. For example, I make a mistake towards a my brother, Muslim brother, and say that, look, Muslim brother, I repent a lot, please forgive me too. But he is free to forgive or not, because it is his right. God's right is different from human rights or rights of the society. We have to make the distinction. So in this verse, it says he is fearful and anxious. It means he has not forgotten the event happened, what happened yesterday. When suddenly the man who sought his help the previous day cried out to him again for help. It means same kind of event may repeat again. Now, I'm not studying the case for Moses. I'm studying the word for myself. Same kind of things may repeat again in my life, similar, etc. But I will be given another opportunity whether I am still keeping my promise to God or not. So similar events may happen in my life. Now, Moses said to him, you are clearly in the wrong. The one who called him from his tribe, Israelite, he said, you are really a heinous man. Because he realized that yesterday's experience, remember, and verse 19 says, then when he decided to seize the man who was an enemy to both of them. Now still saying that this man is heinous, but the emotional attachment to his race is not or has not been completely eradicated. What we understand from this, the racial, national, or family affiliations are very, very strong feelings that we cannot get really completely eradicated. All these feelings completely eradicated. Oh, I have to defend my Muslim brother or sister. I have to defend my Muslim community. Now, you can help the community, but you cannot defend the community, even the Muslim community, believers community. Even the Quran specifies it. Even your family members, your father, your mother, very close relatives. No, you cannot defend. You defend only the right one, not your family members. But it is very difficult. I understand it is very difficult because we feel very close to our family members, our relatives. We feel very close to our fellow Muslim believers. We feel sympathy towards them. It is quite normal. But when it comes to right and wrong, it means when it comes to justice, we have to behave ourselves. We have to be careful. I mean, my brother, okay, I have to support him, okay, you have to support him, but not in the unjust way. If he's doing something wrong, you cannot support him, you cannot defend him. If he's doing something wrong and transgresses the rights of others, we cannot support him. Now, his racial, emotional attachments still within him, quite normal. We are human beings. We cannot get rid of our wrong feelings. They have some sort of root going back to very childhood, and then family effect, family cultural effects on us, or the societal effects on us, the environment of the civilization, the values of the civilization have effects on us, and It doesn't mean that my character will change overnight. That's a beautiful example. I'm very pleased that these virtues are exactly reflecting my human reality that I cannot change overnight. But do you see, and I see in the verse that in the verse explained that you are a wrongdoer man, but still you are one fellow of my race. That's why he went there to help him. Then, when he decided to seize the man who was an enemy to both of them, it means enemy to both of the Israelites, it means Moses and the one who called him for help. The man said the opposite, the enemy, their enemy. I mean, he may be enemy, may not be enemy necessarily, we don't know, but they thought he was an enemy. Okay, the man said, oh Moses, do you want to kill me as you killed a man yesterday? It is a reminder. I mean, in the scenario, if you like, in this scenario, the man is saying this, but maybe God is conveying a message to me that through the speech of this man, teaching me that, look, am I going to kill this man again as I did to the man yesterday? That is within human consciousness. So it doesn't mean that the opposite man, I mean, the man who is subject to be killed now, or not killed, but at least beaten up, now is not going to tell me necessarily, but it is within the order of the creation of God that something reminds me, if not anything from outside, but from within me, my consciousness, my remembrance, my memory reminds me that, I did something wrong yesterday. Am I going to repeat the same mistake again? Now, you only want to become a tyrant in the land, it means in order to defend my race, am I going to be tyrant in the land? What the Pharaoh was doing the same thing in order to defend the Egyptians, he becomes a tyrant. Now, on the other hand, if I start to defend my race and do anything against the benefit of my race, not necessarily on the just way, I become another Pharaoh, tyrant. Then we have to reason, we have to think. Now, if the Pharaoh administration is doing something wrong because they choose any options which favor the Egyptians. Now, if I do the same thing, any option which favors my race or my fellow man or the member of my family, I would be doing the same thing, same mistake. We have to realize that. The verse is clearly teaching us that as long as you are on the wrong side, it means not looking for justice and implementing justice, whether you follow your Muslim brothers or sisters, or you follow your, I don't know, relatives or neighbors or your fellow men from your nation, you are repeating the same mistake as you are criticizing the other side that they were doing some sort of injustice activities. We have to realize this. For example, let's not put a name and say that there's a group of Muslims somewhere, and there are some people on the other side that these people are oppressing Muslim, our fellow Muslim people. And these oppressors are doing something unjustly, that is sure, and we encourage the Muslim fellows to do something unjustly to them in retaliation. Well, if doing something unjustly is wrong, which is the point of our rejection to the other people, in the way that I am asking my fellow Muslims do anything to retaliate, regardless of, for example, civilians, other innocent people, just attack them on a gross level. It means attack the whole town. Why? Because the administrators of this town attacked me in the same way. It was wrong. If it was wrong, excuse me, why do you repeat the same wrong? That is exactly what is going on throughout the human history. Even now, we can see that. If he does this, I will do that. For example, I will throw a bomb into their town. How about innocent people? Of course, they threw a bomb into my town. Innocent people are there, died. Are you eligible now to kill the innocent people over there who are not fighting against you, you have not declared a war against you? These are sensitive points. We don't think. While we are opposing tyranny, we become tyrants as well. Under the title of defense. We have to be careful. This is a very common mistake that we do. I do. Well, I make this kind of mistakes. I know that. So you only want to become a tyrant in the land, and you don't want to be of those who do right. Now that is important. Min al-muslihin. It means trying to make the case in a muslih. It means, sulh is, peace. It means in a peaceful way, in a right way, without involving into injustice. So, of course, let's see. The man reminded him. It means something reminds us this reality. At least our conscience reminds us. For example, if someone, let's say, harms my child, look, and in order to defend myself, can I harm the child of this man? Child is innocent. Yes, he made a mistake, I understand, but by harming the child of the oppressor man, you are making the same mistake. It means the mistake is increasing and increasing, doubling and doubling and doubling. It is not the way of peace. Surah. So Quran says we have to be, the translation says those who do right, it means muslihin. So أن تكون من المصلحين, it means making sulh, how do you say, actually not only making sulh, making the sulh, peace, prevalent, islah, putting the things in the right way, islah. For example, if a machine doesn't work, and then if you repair it and then it starts working, this is called islah. in the machine. It means now machine is acting in a peaceful way, making the thing work in a peaceful way is called Islah. So the word is telling us that we have to make the corrections in the society. We shouldn't act in retaliation, but retaliation is valid only for the person who deserves to be punished himself, not his son, his daughter, or his relatives, not or his countrymen. We have to be careful. This is something sensitive because as the verses explain to us that it is very difficult to overcome these emotional impact of our racial or religious partisanship. It is very difficult to get rid of it, to eradicate it. It takes time. That is why now Moses needs training, further training. He has to go into another life experiences completely different and learn how to correct himself. He has to undergo a long-term education. That's what we need. Let's see now. Okay, and a man came from the uttermost part of the city, somewhere. A man, it is interesting, Rajulun, a man running. He said, "Oh, Moses, watch out. The chiefs are blue." It's an old English. I don't know what I have chosen this translation. It was my mistake. The chiefs take counsel against you to slay you. Oh, therefore escape. And again, hey, be careful. I am of those who give you good advice. Now, it means always there is a source for us who provides the good advice. There may be a prophetic teaching. There may be the students of the prophet conveying this teaching. There may be an examples or out there in the creation. At least there is our conscience within ourselves. Our conscience within ourselves, our spirit within ourselves. Spirit makes the distinction between right and wrong. Spirit, no, human spirit really guesses what is right and wrong. Not for sure, but guesses. Obvious wrong, obvious right is clear for human spirit. But where the spirit is not very sure what is right and wrong, then the spirit needs God's help, special help, which is called revelation. This revelation makes it clear. And the spirit again potentially is able to acknowledge the truth of the revelation. It is not foreign to it, but it cannot really find out by itself. That is the reality of human beings. We may know what is right and what is wrong. Everybody knows without having a reference to the message of or the revelation from God, message from God. But in some cases, especially we keep repeating this case, that the questions, the inquiries that human emotions seek, look forward, we don't know. But when the news comes that from the Creator, this is right, this is wrong, then human spirit, human soul is able to confirm it. That is the difference, that we may know it, we may not know it, and the complementary part comes from the help of God through the revelation and teaches us what we have to know, what is true and what is wrong. So a man comes, yeah, it's source, any source that Allah, God already provided for us. That is important. The man is not described as a prophet, and also man is not, a man is not described with name or something as a particular person. No, Rajulun, a man. That is important. Okay, he said, Moses, you be careful. The chiefs take counsel against you to slay you. Now, you see, another wrongdoing is taking place. Now, it wasn't an premeditated death or murder. So the punishment shouldn't be the death of the murderer. So, but somehow he needed to a certain extent a kind of punishment because there was a mistake out there committed by a conscious man. So, but the people, especially the chiefs of Pharaoh, are looking for an excuse to revenge. What was their problem? In its context, of course, Moses belongs to Israelite race. And the Egyptian administration represented by Pharaoh is the representative of the Egyptian natives of the country. Israelites are immigrants now, and they are enslaved. Okay, now a man from this slave race has become a prominent man in the palace and has some sort of authority over the others as a prince because it's adopted child, son of the Pharaoh. So they couldn't digest it. They have the racial emotions as well, racial understanding and discrimination as well. They are looking for an excuse to get rid of Moses out of the palace. How? By killing him, making the excuse of this murder case, the case of murder, as a means of executing him. Now, that is why God is sending a help to Moses. Now, you are going to be treated in an unjust way. Run away, because they are not going to give you the right punishment. They are going to go to the extreme to kill you in order to revenge their jealousy. That is God's judgment now, arranging it. And this news comes to Moses from somewhere unknown, but it means God is telling you that I'm going to give you the news as well. In this kind of matters, it will come to your mind, you will remember something, your consciousness will be awakened and then tell you whatever the means, I will create you, don't worry about it. So it is a good advice, and we understand that, that is a reasonable advice. So I have to run away from this land. Now, another background information may be helpful. This Qasas, chapter Qasas, was revealed on the 10th, around 10th, not sure, but around the 11th, 9th of the prophetic mission in Mecca. So it is, you notice that there is a hint for a specific time period for the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. For a specific period, there is a hint that, look, if there is a trouble, that you are treated in a completely unjust way, which is the period of boycott. You may remember during the later period of Meccan life of the Prophet, the Meccan Quraysh people, pagans, declared a boycott against the believers who followed the Prophet, the messenger of God, and they had driven away outskirts of Medina and treated in a very unjust way. The trade, the business relationship was prohibited, marriage relationship was prohibited, but Ali's father, the Prophet's uncle, Abu Talib, gave them the land to be secure there because no one was speaking to them in Mecca. Everybody was, running away from them, non-believers, of course, and it was very despising for the Muslims, disgusting for them. Also, Abu Talib said, there is a land belong to me, go and live there. And also, the Prophet's wife, Khadija, was a rich woman, and what she did, she spent all of her wealth in order to smuggle food into this, if you like, ghetto, Muslim ghetto, outskirts of Mecca. Now, this is the historical background, and this is the time that the Meccan people wanted to kill Muhammad at the end, and the followers, get rid of them, make them starve and die out of starvation. The similar situation is the Prophet is getting the news, what? Of immigrating to somewhere else, right? So that is during the Prophet's time. How about our time? Now, if there is an unbearable living conditions in the place that you cannot really protect your right, then it is a legitimate, maybe necessary thing to leave this place and immigrate. That's for me now. I don't have to be in this land because I'm born here. But if I can defend myself, I will defend myself. But if I cannot defend myself, the only way to immigrate. This is the story of Moses teaching us, the life story of the Prophet, messenger of God, teaching us. Immigration is something to be used when it is necessary. So we shouldn't avoid from immigration at any cost. No, if it is necessary, we should. So we shouldn't be really stuck to the land. But if I am able, there are other verses as well in the Quran, so we should remember them. If I am able to defend myself against the atrocities, tyranny, then I have to defend myself. If I can resist, I have to resist. I have to resist and defend my right, if necessary, engage in a war conditions, because I can defend myself. But in Meccan period, was the messenger of God able to defend himself and his community? The cases history presents to us demonstrates in the negative, impossible. They were very powerful, and the followers of the messenger of God were very weak. They cannot defend. So immigration is ordered by God later on, even 2 years later, 3 years later, approximately. Now, for us, is a lesson here. if we cannot defend ourselves, if there is no opportunity to defend yourself, you can make immigration. You can immigrate somewhere else. Okay. Now, Moses left the city, now verse 21. Fearful and wary, again, knows that he deserves some sort of punishment, knows that he made a mistake, so he may be caught, he may be punished, but because the chiefs are intending to make an excuse of this mistake and completely execute him, kill him unjustly. That's why fearful when wary and prayed. How did he pray? It's important. My Lord, save me from people who do wrong. Now, if we are not careful, I would say, if I'm not careful, I would say, who did the wrong, man? You did first. You killed the man. I'm speaking to Moses. Now, you did the you did the wrong thing. But because the chiefs are intending to kill him unjustly, because it wasn't a determined or premeditated killing, but they are making an excuse of it. That's why he said, people who do wrong. That is important. For example, there is a Muslim community here, or there's a Muslim man here, and a person who's not a Muslim and did something wrong to this Muslim man. Now, and the Muslim man couldn't defend himself because he is weak, and then he says, please God, help me to protect me from these people who do wrong. Okay, but it doesn't give me the option to treat them back in the wrong way. So I should just, if there is no other way, go away, run away, and disappear from the land. So as he made his way towards Midian, another country, maybe neighboring place, whatever it is, the Midian, where is it, doesn't matter. So, but somewhere where you feel safe. He was saying, may my Lord guide me to the right way, right? He was saying, yes, Rabbi en yahdiyani sawa as-sabil. Yeah. So, he just said, please show me the right way to go. I don't know where to go, but getting out of this land, whether he will go to the north, he will go to the south, but physically speaking, north of Egypt is the Mediterranean Sea. So, I mean, to the east or west and whatever, please guide me. Now, this prayer is accepted. How? We will see how. This prayer is accepted because he was sincere now. He understood that he has to defend himself. He has to accept that he has to leave the country. There is no way to defend himself. Now, he asked God, Allah, guide me to the right way. Now, what will happen? Look, that's very important now, what is happening. How the Quran speaks to us only the points which will be useful for me, which will be practical for me. How did he go? How long? Did he have a horse or camel or whatever? In Egypt, there may be some places in the southern part of Cairo, where the desert is, the camel or something, but I don't think in Cairo there is a camel. There are camels, whatever. So that is what we have to not go into the details. No, what only the points needs to be taken notice of are mentioned in the Quran, because the point is not to narrate a story of a man, even if he's a prophet, whatever. What shall I do? Somebody leave it in this history, and I have nothing to do with this person anymore. I have to take my portion of the story, apply it to my life. So when he arrived at the watering place of Midian, oh, what happened now? He went to the country, whatever must be, and he went to the place where there is a watering place. We went to the area where there is a watering place. Now, because there are something to be taught here, which are very useful for us. It's a very interesting life experience. Let's see, and especially young people should know it very well. So, should learn it very well. He found a crowd of people watering, quite normal, eh? And he found two women waiting on the side. He said, what is holding you back? He was a foreigner. Look, because we cannot read this kind of stories as a really story, because he is an Egyptian and the people of Midian speaks in another language. How did he learn the language? No, it's not the point. It's not the point. And how he really gets involved into the business of two women in a place where a society is settled down, they have their own customary way of life, etc. So he's communicating with this woman in what language? So we understand that really historical side of this narration is not valid at all. For me, it doesn't mean at all, anything at all. So he said, what is holding you back? They said, we cannot draw water until the shepherds finish. The reason why you cannot? Because our father is an old man. It means we are weak. We cannot defend our right. Oh, that is Moses now, the man of justice. Now he is learning a lot of things now and experiencing that the sense of justice, which is very ingrained into human nature. Everybody wants to uphold justice. Even the tyrants themselves want to uphold justice as long as it is not damaging his authority. So, for example, yes, Pharaoh was unjust towards Israelites. And in his treatment as a person who declares himself as God, but he had laws, principles in his administration of the country, and he was treating justly his Egyptian fellow man. You see, justice is innate in human beings. But for example, a country, let's say country A, is trying to establish the justice within their limits of their boundary, within their country, but when it comes to the conflict with another country, they become blind of justice And they say, for the interest of my country, I can kill this man. That's the mentality, the main reason for human wars, unjust wars. Of course, attackers, not the defenders. Defenders have to defend. That's why I understand in Islam there is no offensive war conditions. There is only defensive war condition. Why? If you try to offend somebody, transgress somebody's right with no justifiable reason, then you are a tyrant. Islam cannot be. Allah's religion, God's religion, cannot propagate unjust treatment. Only justifiable defense. So if someone attacks or prepares to get attacked on you, then you have to defend yourself. Otherwise, if a person or a nation doesn't believe in God and doesn't follow your message, etc., because of their not following your message, not believing in what you say, you cannot justify to attack them, to harm them. Only you are expected to convey the message to them in a best way, in the best peaceful way. So that is what we understand from here, that in this country, the Midian, also there were some sort of justice, and Moses has rightly held the sense of justice to be practiced in a completely foreign conditions, living conditions. So he will say, he watered their flocks for them. Now, for the women. Why? He was powerful to defend himself, to defend against those people who don't let the weak people to exercise their right. So he helped the women as a strong man defended their right. So if you can, you do it because it is right. So he did it, withdrew into the shade, and then went back to the shade somewhere for himself, because he fulfilled the justice. It means, at any rate, to exercise justice as far as you can, you have to. Now you see one point. Moses is learning how to practice the sense of justice. Before, he thought defending his own race is justice. Now he said, no. Unfairly treated people's right must be protected, and this sense of justice in human being must be practiced in the right way. But he is doing now in the right way, so God will reward him. God will reward him and show that what he has done is right. But he needs further training now, because if you do once a right option, it doesn't mean that it becomes your character, your innate character. No, it needs training to establish. For example, you learn something in the class, in the school, and just you grasped it. What do? You do many exercises related to this subject in order to settle down in your mind, in your understanding, so it becomes a second nature to you. So he needs this training, so that what he did, he prayed to God, my Lord, I am in dire need of whatever good things you may send me. Now, he says, please, again, he needs the help of God in order to. So inni lima enzelte ilayya min khairin faqir. So that's interesting. Whatever good things you may send to me. So I am in need of your help. Look, even what he did, he helped the woman. He didn't take any pride of his help. Any pride of his help. It is interesting. Said, look, you see, thank God I practiced a good thing. No. Still, he feels the need of God's help because, yes, on one occasion he was sober, he was aware, and because there is no racial competition which takes him into the partisanship that he is a part of this race. Now it is just an impartial environment. Now media, nothing to do with Israelites, nothing to do with Egyptians, but a completely impartial environment. But there is a case of injustice going on, unjust cases going on. So it is easy to practice it because you don't have no emotional attachment to one side. We have to know that. Now, in this case, he says, still, yes, I understood and I practiced this one, but it doesn't mean that I have completely eradicated my racial affiliations and emotional attachments. I need a training. He asked God for help. That is beautiful to me. That's very real life experience. Inshallah, we can continue from verse 25. What will happen? Something very interesting again. There are lots of lessons in them. Just if you just read these following verses and the whole verses here, not a story, it is very practical now in your life and in my life. In the following verses is even more attractive. Very, very subject, very, how do you say, subject that very real for us. Inshallah, it will follow. I am excited to study the following verses with you, inshallah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The time is up. Fi amanillah. Inshallah, I'll see you on the next occasions, and Saturday, Monday, and if not, next Wednesday. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Fi amanillah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.